how are you doing today? This is Alakai coming to you with another float tube discussion. So some of you might know, this is my new Cumberland, Classic Accessories Cumberland float tube, which I absolutely adore. I did an unboxing video. I'll try to post it up in the top section there, or is it over there? I don't know. But this is the whole thing set up, and now that you have a new float tube, the first thing you want to do is build rod holders for it. I recently found out, I actually was going to kind of step up and maybe buy the on top system that they have, Castmates or something, or I forget what it's called. I think it's called Castmates, but they actually went out of business. They're actually no longer in existence. So you kind of need to make sure you figure out how to hold your rods while you're on your float tube without having to use those little Velcro straps on the side. If you are planning on doing anything other than maybe like fly fishing or something, I'm not sure, but I use my my rod holders for much more than just rods, I can tell you that. So this is how you start off here. I've already actually made the cuts, if you can see there. I've already actually made the cuts, and I'm going to go through about what we're doing here. I use ABS instead of PVC. The primary reason is really because I feel like it's a little bit stronger. It's got a little less flex to it. And I like the pieces that are available. The ranges are widely kind of all over the place. This is a 1.5 inch ABS coming from Lowe's, and it's not too crazy expensive. We'll go through each piece here. So as you might be able to see, you've got two 4-way valves. 4-way valves, I think they're costing about $3 a piece. That's $6 right there. These are 90-degree connectors. Be careful, be very careful when you're ordering it and when you're buying it. There's actually 3 different versions of 90-degree connectors there. There's tight ones, long ones, weird ones, I don't know. This one's 76 cents. You want to look for the 76 cents one. You don't need anything better than that. But you want to make sure you are comparing it with the little labels on there, because people are constantly mixing and matching pieces inside their little bins. So you just want to make sure that you're following, you're getting what you want. And also, if you don't have the tag, you can't scan out. So make sure you get also ones with the tag, if you can. These are actually 45-degree connectors. Again, get the cheapest one. I think these are kind of expensive at about $2 or $1.50. I think $1.50. The 45 degrees, I'll show you why I use those. I've already cut down a long piece of my pipe. I think I got 10 feet pipe for, I think it's $6 or $7. I've already cut down. These longer ones are 5 inches. For my Cumberland, I'll show you how I measured that, but you need 3 5-inch sections, 2 3-inch sections, and 2 like 1 3/4 or 2-inch sections. Additionally, you also need the caps. Now these caps are expensive. I don't know why they are, but I think these are like $3 a piece too. Again, there's multiple ones, but all of them are kind of expensive. This is a solid cap. I like it because it's actually got this little extra material right here, and I'll show you why that's the case in a minute too. So when we're setting it up, I've already kind of taken the liberty of setting one up. I measured it across. I'll show you how I measured it when I show you the kind of the completed unit. And here we go. So of course I'm making 2 of them because I'm putting one on each side. Now I did have designs for different float tube kind of rod holders that I built up from my old float tube, but I actually found out that I really didn't like it as much because I had 5 sections. It's actually right here. Let me get it for you. It actually had 5 sections, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I never used one of them. So I kind of figured it was kind of a waste, and this is really cumbersome and a little bit heavy, so I'm actually going with 4 this time. It's a heck of a lot lighter, but we're going to use this for, when I'm sticking it on the tube, is front pull, second pull if needed. This would be for my net, and this would be for my camera, for a video camera. And I'll show you all the pieces in another video about how I'm setting up kind of top portions there and kind of what the thoughts are. But this is how you set it up. So you have the 2 4-way valves on the top here. Here's your 90 and here's your 90. This is your 5-inch section, 5-inch section, 5-inch section. Your 3-inch sections here. You're going to have to measure 2 different measurements. Number 1, from here to here and here to here, and the length here. And I'll show you how to do that. This is the 45 degree, in case you guys are wondering, and the reason for that is because it kind of wraps around the tube. I'll show you how to do that right here too. Those are your caps, of course. So that's how it's all set up. And let me show you the measurements and how you actually take the measurements here. Take the measurements. All we're doing here is As you can see, I pumped up one side of the flow tube. I'm looking really just to have information on the distance here. And it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be like you go and take a specific rule and you figure it all out. It's just got to be approximated. And the reason for it is because you're kind of just working with ABS and piping, and you're kind of sticking it on there. So what I'm doing is, number one thing I'm measuring is the distance here, and I can figure out how far away it is. But you don't want to make sure you want to make sure you have your uprights away from your D-rings, right? So you want to make sure you can actually hook onto your D-rings here, drill into this and put eye-rings on there. I'll show you how to do that. And then also, that's your first measurement, is across here. Your second measurement is down here. See these lengths right here? On mine it's 3" here, because the Cumberland flow tube, when expanded, this gives it a nice cradle that you go to. So it's supported here by the D-rings that are going here, the carabiners, but also underneath, we're also going to put other eye bolts onto the end here, and we're going to strap it onto the D-rings underneath of the flow tube here and here. Hopefully you can see that. So what you want to do is you want to have a nice cradle, because if it's too short, it's going to be digging into the flow tube, and if it's too long, it might just hang off and actually will cause the rod holder to kind of stick out like that. So you want to kind of try to make it as nice as you can. That's why it's 3" for mine. I think it's going to be about 3" for most, to be honest, because it seems like this is much more of a universal size once you step up from the like the Cadis and the smaller U-bolt type version. So I decided to throw that on there. So as far as how you secure it, let me just show you this real quick. I'll go back to my old unit here. And this is how we're doing it. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and drill a hole into here and here. And then I'm going to secure stainless steel eye bolts. You can get these over at Lowe's also for, I think they're $1.97. Now you might say, well, those are awfully big. So yeah, you're right, they are big, but this is actually the cheapest version they got. These are stainless steel, about extra nuts. There's a nut on top, and then there's a lock nut on the bottom. And you take a D-ring, and you just, or carabiner, and you stick it across here, and you attach it to the D-ring like that. Same thing on the bottom. On the bottom, I did the same thing. Now, unfortunately, I was not too smart, and I used zinc washers instead of stainless steel washers, and it actually started to rust up on me a little bit. Not that it's going to make a huge difference, but if you don't like the look, make sure you use stainless steel stuff everywhere. Same type of thing, though. I did go and drill a hole into the caps. Again, that's why I like that beefy section there, is because it actually, you're drilling a hole into there, and you're putting a washer on the other side of there with a lock nut, and then a nut here, and you're securing it on there. And once you do that, all you're doing is you're getting bungee cords on this side and this side that look like this. I got these at Harbor Freight. They're really cheap, and the reason why I like them is you can actually adjust them by just pulling it out, and you can adjust it to the size you want. And then I just use a tie down to make sure this stays the size I want. So in the end, it's going to kind of look like that. And this is going to attach to the underneath of your flow tube like that. Well, this is going to upside down. See, you want to have it as flat as possible and attach to the flow tube like that, so it keeps pressure and holds it into place, so it doesn't like have this wobble effect. A lot of different float tubes that you see out there, they just kind of have the straight pieces like this, or it's long on the sides, it creates extra weight, and they wobble back and forth. I don't want that wobble. I want to make sure I lash it down. These things are just keeping it from wobbling, but it actually makes it much more secure. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually gluing everything together or cementing it down. So far, it's turned out pretty well. Hopefully you guys can see it. I'm a little bit close up here, but this is going to be towards the back, or it doesn't really matter. This is actually, it's the same either way. And it can be used on the right hand or left hand, so whatever you want to do as far as switching it around. I kind of made it to be much more synchronized or aligned, or whatever you want to call it, to make sure that we can use it for either side. Now, what is going to differ is going to be the angles, to making sure that it's going to go on one side of the tube and the other side of the tube. But for the time being, I'm just gluing everything down to make sure everything's nice and sturdy. Now again, I got into trouble, or I did the right thing by cementing everything down. I stand by that decision, but I had to actually break apart and saw some of the things off last time because I wanted to get my stainless steel eye-rings out. Those are 98 cents a piece, and it doesn't sound like much, but when you're doing a project like this and you just don't need to spend money, then why do it? Oh, in addition to that, I also went ahead and got the stainless steel flat washers, because the other washers that I was using here, you can kind of see it started to the rust. There's a little bit of rust on the bottom of these stainless steel nuts here, and so I got rid of those things and used stainless steel washers on both sides. That was like $2. So what we're talking about, what I did here is, again, I went ahead and drilled through the caps like I was talking about before. I put the eye bolt in there. These are stainless steel screws, and then you can see in there, all I did was tighten it down. I have a little extension here, and then I'm taking the other pieces like this, and I'm sticking them on there. I want this to be perpendicular to that, so I want the eyelet to be showing so that I can clip in my bungee cords there, and it'll be flat against the side of my float tube. So all you have to do here is just kind of clean it off a little bit with your hands. You take this OD medium black ABS cement. This stuff smells like terrible. You just kind of get this goopy black, like tar looking stuff, and you wipe it along the inside of your receptacle. Wipe it on the outside of your pipe there. Close this up. It dries really quick. You stick it in there, and you kind of go in an angle and you twist it to lock. You twist it to make sure that it's going in, then you kind of make sure that it's how you want it to be, because that thing is going to be cemented in a heartbeat. So there you go. That's it. That's it. So I need to have 4 of these things, and what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to stick it onto the ends here. 2 of them are going to be this way, and 2 of them are going to be that way. And then I'll show you when it comes onto the float tube what it looks like in the end. But these things are super sturdy, and there's no way that these things are coming apart. You can see like the cement goes in there, and it's solid. I mean, I can throw this thing, it's just nothing's going to happen to it. It's just solid. So a few more, and then I will show you the end results. Now we're talking about the actual fittings that you want to put on top here, and this is all up to personal discretion. One thing that is to note is that I personally always have a video camera on there, so I'm always going to need one in the very back. I want to kind of be out of the way. I want to be up and not obstructing anything. So I created a little fixture here. And this is basically just, like I said, just a piece of ABS, any length you want, a cap with a I think it's a 1/4 by 20 if I remember right, something like that. It's a standard size that you use for any kind of tripod or photography equipment. They all just come in the same size. It's lock washer down. I've got a couple washers here. It's taken out just right. Stick it on top like this, and I attach it like that. So that's my camera mount. And then I put a tripod extension in the back here. It goes up to the top here, and it actually carries the camera that I'm filming with right now above my head, and 2 in the front. I will be taking a lot more videos about what I'm doing here shortly. It's just going to be compiled and get up there. Now you have other things to think about. Whether you want to have a nice 3-way valve like this. This is what I really like to do. This is why I was talking earlier about ABS gives you more options about what sizes you're using. They've got really cool 3-way valves here, and I use that. And again, you can just have any size you want. You need one for the bottom here, one for a rod extension. Everything will fall apart. And I put this on top like that, just in case I want to stick anything on top. I put this like this, and I can swivel it back and forth any way I want. Now this is a rod holder. Rod goes in here, and you can still use the top part to store your net or oar or anything else that you want to have sticking out here. If anything, you can also use it for your long nose pliers or your fish grips or anything, and just stick it in there in a time of need, just to, as your fish thing. So again, you have your rod holder, and you have another something here you can use. I use it for my net right there. You can have 2 of these things if you want. This is just a single one that goes in the front. I actually don't know why I use that in the first place. I actually would like to have another 3-way here, but this is for a rod obviously in the front there. You can swivel any way you want to as well. So yeah, it looks kind of like this for my setup anyways. And you see those 5 intersections will keep it away so these things can freely spin. It's never the case. I have 3 rods facing forward, so it's always kind of go like this if anything. and then I have my net here, and I have like a pair of pliers or something here. Another thing you can use it for is on my other side, on the right side. Things are still falling apart. You can also cement these things down too. Is this right here? So this is another setup here where I have also a rod holder going up, and then I have a 3-way extension coming up. And you might be asking yourself, why does he have a camera in the front? Well, not only is it for a camera, but it's also for a fish finder. So actually, on the right side of me, I have a fish finder set up here, going down, and then I can I have that there, and also have my rod on the right side too. So on the right side, I have my fish finder. I could have another camera mount, or maybe a pole if I need to, and I'm good to go. So it gives you a lot of. Obviously, there's also just a straight piece of tube that I use here too, if I'm not going to use it for a rod or anything. So it gives you a lot of versatility on what you want to use it for and how you want to do it. It's pretty cheap, I think overall. I think depending on what you're going to do for your top parts, but this right here is probably about 15 bucks or so in goods, and then I just used a saw, circular saw, to cut off the sides here, the different sizes. So in the end, I will show you what it looks like all set up, and then we'll get floating. All right, so in the end, this is kind of what it's going to look like. Now this is obviously I'm in land, and it's going to be different when it's in water. These will sink down a little bit more. And this is a little bit loose. I need to get different clips for here, but it looks like I'm going to get like a 1-inch clip or so to make sure it's a little bit tighter there. But basically it's going to sit up like this. And these little pieces on the bottom here are wrapped underneath, nice and cozily. It'll be better in the water if it doesn't have this hard surface here, but kind of wraps around there and provides stability. I do have some of the bungee cords on the bottom lashing to the D-rings underneath of the float tube, and these things are all modular, right? So you saw me take these things on and off earlier, but you can put them on any way you want to. This is just a stand-up. This is a 3-way. Stick things in there, and they move. And this is a camera mount here. So ultimately, this is kind of what it looks like. It's going to look the same on both sides. It's pretty lightweight, and if you want to make it even lighter weight, you just make these stand-ups instead of using these 3-ways. These things add some weight to it too. So, but that's what it's going to look like. Like I said, I'm going to be working on getting more clips. Probably take a trip over to Lowe's today and get maybe little eyelet clips that go clamp on here and here. Maybe just like an inch apart, because actually it's much closer. It's not to hang as much. And I don't want this to be too far away from the bottom here. I want to kind of cradle it and kind of suck it in a little bit there. So that's what we're looking at. That's as simple as it gets. So hope you enjoyed it, and take some shots of us on the water later on. Thanks. Hey everybody, so I think that I found a solution to the rod holders. I had these carabiners being used before, but these things are actually kind of flimsy. They're not really used for carrying loads. They're really only used for key rings and whatnot. So when I put it on here, they kind of fit all right, but I didn't like how much room there was between one section to the next. Now admittedly, I'm not saving a whole lot. It might be just a 1/4 inch or so, but I actually decided to use these things right here. These are stainless steel quick connects. You can find them over at Home Depot like this. They're 1/8 inch quick link, and they're stainless steel. Costs about $3.50 for 3 of them. Unfortunately, you need 4 of them, so you're paying $7. But they simply operate like this. They're just screw on like this. So what I do is I'm just going to take these things off, connect it like that, connect it to this, the D-ring, like that, and then I'll actually just screw it on there just like that. And again, I know that I'm not saving a ton of space and wiggle room. It's probably, actually it's more like 3/4 inch, maybe even an inch. But the best thing about these things is that they're really strong. If you notice, one of these things will actually hold 480 pounds. Nowhere near that in this. Like I said, I think I was talking before about maybe needs like 10 pounds or so. But split against 2, so I'm way overdoing it. Don't get me wrong, I know that, but I feel like this is going to be a much better solution to holding the rod holders on. And again, on the bottom there, I'm going to be lashing it down with some bungee cords, and I'll show you that piece too. We're taking a look at our rod holders and how they turned out. This is my left hand side. As you can see, I've got the stand up here with the 30 degree, I think it's for 30 or 40 degree, holding my front rod there. I'm using a up and downs just right here. I'm thinking that this one right here I'm going to use for oar, like an oar, and then this right here I just use for my net. It's a collapsible net, so I can just kind of stick it in there for now. And then right there is where I post up my camera, for this camera right here, so I can video any kind of fish I catch. But you saw me using these little attachment rings here. They're just fine. It's sturdy as anything. It's not going to come off there or anything. There's the other one there, and underneath, as I showed you before, we were using bungee cords just to kind of hold the bottoms down and keep it kind of straight. If it's a little bit floppy here and there, don't worry about it. When you get in the water, it'll actually straighten out a little bit, and then it'll kind of, you know, those little seats that I use to kind of cradle the side of the tubes, they will set up and actually make it so that it's pretty sturdy enough. On the other side here, I've got my fish finder here posted up here with another 30 degree. Sometimes I'll post it here, but it's just easier for me to grab to this one. So this one here is just a little 45. Slip my rod in there, up and down, if in case I want to use it for an oar or whatnot. And this right here is what I'm going to be using for rod prep. And if I ever catch any fish, I can take it. I can put my rod in there. You know, you open the bail, you stick your rod in there, you can actually have it in front of you, so you can do all the stuff you need to do. Then up and down here in case I want to put anything else in here, maybe like my pliers or whatnot. You know, my pliers can sit in anything if I get in a rush or anything. It's working really well, way better than I expected. I was looking at maybe doing some kind of tricky thing where I would put across the stainless steel line here so I can have you know, my tools and everything slide across. Don't need it. I was looking at some kind of solution to holding my rod as I'm doing that rod prep like I was talking about. I use this. It works great. So right now I'm very happy with what I got here, and I'm just changing around the different tools to it. So again, this is the right side, the other side's the left side. Everything's working just fine. And I showed you how to build it. Now it's just a matter of tuning it to get to where you want to be. So anyways, if you guys have any questions about this stuff, let me know. Go ahead and comment down below. Please like and subscribe. That way at least I know that you guys are all paying attention to this stuff. And I'll be posting up more float tube stuff. And see if we can, oh, you see that? I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little fish there. We can post up and more of the things and adventures and the different tools and different things I'm working on. If you guys are interested in the hardtop shell, I do have another video on that. I think it's already up already, but if not, then feel free to take a look around. If you do want to see my unboxing of my float tube, I have that as well. So yeah, we're going to be doing all kinds of adventures here and showing you kind of different things that I'm coming up with. Rod holders, I'm not sure where I got the ideas from, but mostly on like things like Pinterest and different forums, and I kind of just pieced together the best ideas I could. This is actually my second go of it, so I've tuned it up quite a bit and just made it as simple as possible and the cheapest possible, because you just don't need anything too crazy, too elaborate. This does the job just fine, as you can tell.